Hey everyone, George here, the Disney Family Man. Yes, I know I haven't gone anywhere. I'm back. But just wanted to give a little update that I had some computer technical difficulties, which is why no videos have been going on, and it's been a couple stressful couple weeks. But don't worry, more videos will be coming out soon. So I thought I'd kick it off with one of my favorite special guests that I always love having on for our big Disney discussions. I have Orange Grove 55. Hey, man, how's it going?
I'm doing great, George. Thank you for having me again. It's always a good time.
Always. It's always good just to kind of sit back, knock back a few if you have them, and talk Disney.
Yep, exactly.
So I thought today that we can get into several discussions, just what's been going on within the world of Disney. Starting off with, because I watched one of your recent videos on the boarding um, process for Rise of the Resistance, and I find it kind of interesting because I have not yet been on Rise of the Resistance. I was supposed to take a small little mini trip, but I've decided that I'm going to expand my August trip by going on a Disney cruise, then just take 3 days and to Disney World. But kind of going back, that you're kind of in the minority here with the Disney fans, because usually since it opened, that people have been raving about this boarding process of saying how easy it is and how smooth it's been. But of course, you know, you have to get up at 4:30 in the morning just to make sure that you're there at like 5:30. Um, but you, on the other hand, have a different outlook on it. So maybe you can kind of reflect some light on that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the boarding pass situation, and mostly it's because of the way I go to the parks. So it's completely based on my personal experience and my personal habits. I think overall the boarding pass system is probably the best thing they could have done to control the crowds. But for me personally, I don't like it. And the reason why I personally don't like it is because, like you said, you got to get to the park at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. You got to be there when, during the rope drop, get your boarding pass. And then whatever number you get, then you have to wait for that number to be called, and it's a lottery. So it's not necessarily first come, first serve. It's a lottery. So you can get there at rope drop and your boarding pass could be like 97, right? And you're there all day. So for me, it's like, I don't like that idea. Like, I personally would rather be able to get to the park at opening and just wait in line, wait in a 3 or 4 hour line. I know that sounds crazy, but I'd rather get there at 8, wait in a 3 or 4 hour line, and have ridden the attraction by like lunch, then have to get the boarding pass and then have to kill like 7 or 8 hours. And I get it. Like, I'm an annual pass holder, right? So I rarely go like for a full day anymore, to be honest with you. I usually go in like 4 or 5 hour stints, right? Because I can go next weekend, I can go, right? I'm always there. So for me, it's just like, I don't want to get there at rope drop and have to stay until like 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night for my boarding pass to come up. But I do realize this is a minority opinion, and I do realize it's completely based on my personal preferences and my personal experience. The boarding passes are great. They work for a lot of guests. If you're out of state, out of country, if you don't visit very often, the boarding pass is the way to go. You're not killing your whole day waiting in line. It's just, for me personally, yeah, it's just not my it's not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could understand where you're coming from, especially speaking as a annual pass holder's point of view. And I guess I never really would have thought of it until I became an annual pass holder myself. And when I had recently uh, did my Disneyland trip back in August for the D23 Expo, and it was just a completely different feel. It just felt like with the annual pass, I could just sit on a bench and watch guests for like an hour and not
Yeah.
have that notion of, oh, I got to go to this ride at this time, or I have to be here. Like, I could just sit there and just relax and say, well, I could come back tomorrow. I don't have to worry about purchasing an extra ticket. So I think as far as, and especially with you being a local on top of an annual pass holder, that you could just come and go as you please. So yeah, so if you really didn't feel like spending a whole day at Disneyland, then you can, because I've heard that there were people, some of my friends had said that there were even families that would enter the turnstiles and they can be 10 seconds away from each other. And one person could be in boarding group 12 and the other can be in boarding group 49.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's why I was saying earlier, it's a lottery system. It's not even like, it's not even first come, first serve. So just because you are quick with getting the boarding pass doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it faster than the next person. You can be the first one to get the boarding pass and you can still be boarding pass 72, so it's a complete and total lottery. So yeah, in my opinion, it's not my cup of tea. It really isn't my cup of tea because, look at it this way. If you were to get to the park at rope drop and you were to go to the attraction and do standby, you're not going to wait 4 or 5 hours. I mean, you're the first in the park. You probably wait an hour or two and you get on the ride, you know what I'm saying? And I think that for me, that would work out much better. Just for me though, that's my personal preference.
Yeah. Now they had just released, and I know this is for Walt Disney World, but they had just released the Fast Pass Pluses for the grand opening for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios. And I thought that was kind of surprising, to say the least, because I thought, with this boarding group thing, that they're going to start doing this from now on with new attractions, just to keep the guest flow or what have you. But being that Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway has the Fast Pass Plus, it then arcs back to the notion, I wonder if they did this for Rise because of the length of the queue line.
That's possible. That's very, very possible. And I actually like the fast pass system a lot better because it is first come, first serve. If the earlier you get a fast pass, the better your fast pass window is, right? Yep. So it's first come, first serve. So I wouldn't even mind if the Rise of the Resistance did the fast pass situation, but like you said, maybe they couldn't because of the length or the way the queue is set up. It's kind of a weird situation how you board that like transport thing and then you get off and then it's a different situation. So yeah, it might be that. It might just be the way the queue is that they just weren't unable to do that.
Yeah, because I was telling my wife yesterday the difference is because she's only been to Disneyland once, and it was because I ended up taking her because up until the point of us being together, she's never been to any Disney park. So I was explaining to her the differences between Disney World's Fast Pass system as opposed to Disneyland's. And I've said it once, I said it twice, and I'll say it again. I will preach it till the cows come home. That Disneyland's Fast Pass system with the Max Pass is so much more convenient and smoother than Walt Disney World's Fast Pass Plus system.
Wow. I love our Max Pass. I have the signature annual pass, so it comes with my pass and I love it. We use it all the time. It's so convenient. It's so easy.
Yeah. When I was out at August for Disneyland, I bought the Premier Passport for Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And I tell you, it was just like how I remembered the paper Fast Pass system, but literally digital on my phone. And it's like at a certain point, I can overlap fast passes. I can get them literally from morning to night, whatever is available. There was no tier system. There was not, you can have a maximum of 3 per day. And then by the time your 3 ends, you can then pick a fast pass, but then nothing's left. It's like, if you're in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World and you pick fast passes for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Space Mountain, and Peter Pan's Flight. Well, by the time you're done with those 3 fast passes, they say, okay, you can get another fast pass. You could do 1 per hour or so. Well, what's left? Okay, well, you have Magic Carpets of Aladdin. Woohoo.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Disneyland's Max Pass system. I really do. I've enjoyed that. I wish they could have incorporated Rise of Resistance into something like that. That would have been better. But yeah, here we are. We'll see how. And another interesting thing is that we'll see how long they actually do the boarding passes. I'm assuming it's being done right now because of the extreme demand. But are they eventually going to stop using it and give us standby, or is this going to be the new normal? Are they just going to do boarding passes forever? Because Hollywood Studios opened long before us. Well, not long, but like December, and you guys still have it, right? So
yeah, it's still going on. And that was actually going to be my next question was, do you think the boarding pass system for Rise is going to stick based on the type of ride? Because there's no other type of ride like Rise. I mean, it's how long did they say it was?
Like 25 minutes or something?
Right. I mean, the longest ride time I think we've ever had was Splash Mountain, which is 11 minutes. I mean, we had nothing like anything higher than that, but not as immersive as what Rise is. So it just begs the question of, are they ever going to add Fast Pass to Rise? Or is it just going to be this boarding system where you may not necessarily have to come at 5:30 in the morning, but it's the only way to get in the queue line?
Yeah. And maybe once the demand settles down, maybe the boarding passes for me will be more attractive, because then it's not going to be so exhausting where like you're getting there at like 6 a.m. and then you have to, wait for your thing to be called 7 hours later. Maybe once the demand kind of subsides down a little bit, and like you said, you can do your boarding pass at 10 o'clock in the morning and actually get on the ride at like 1 or 2, that maybe it wouldn't be so bad then. Then it basically, at that point, then a boarding pass would essentially just be a fast pass, right? It's within a few hour window, and you're not dedicating a whole day to this thing. So we'll see how that works out. Yeah. And if it's permanent or not, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be really interesting.
I think
I hope not, but we'll see.
I think if they kept it permanent, and the only if you could actually get there at 10 or 11 o'clock going into the afternoon and still be able to ride the ride before you have to take your ZzzQuil. It's before you have to, finish with your nightcap. But another subject I wanted to touch upon, which you have also done a video for. I'm playing catch up because all this news broke out, and I had no way of doing all videos, so I'm like combining them all into one. Is the release of the Spider-Man, what I call the Stuntronic, for DCA. And which we all knew when we watched the Imagineering story on Disney Plus, when they showed that stunt animatronic, we all knew what that was going to become.
Oh, yeah.
You could just tell, but now that you could actually see the outer layer of what it's going to look like, I mean, I have to say that's really impressive. I mean, that you don't even need a ride. You could just have that just happening every 12 minutes. And it would be so cool.
Yeah, you're right. It's a perfect addition for I'm getting a little bit of an echo. I don't know if that's maybe there we go. Okay, we're good now. Yeah. You're right though. I mean, this animatronic, and I think I even said it in my video, seems to be like it's going to be more impressive than the actual attraction. I'm really excited for it. And this is something that DCA really, really needs. This is something that DCA is going to have unique to its park, right? Because this park sits in the shadow of probably one of the greatest theme parks of all time. It's extremely difficult for a park like DCA to compete with Disneyland. So it needs these little things that are special and make it unique to kind of, to kind of differentiate a little bit, to give it some worth. Like, why even bother going there when everything is better at Disneyland, right? So when you have stuff like this, like the Spider-Man Stuntronic, it gives you some incentive to be like, yeah, you know what? Let's go check out DCA. I love DCA. And I love when it gets anything like this, because the park has so much potential and it needs more of these kind of things, I think.
Definitely. And I think that to see that in person and to possibly be able to see that at any angle, no matter what part of the park you're in. Like if you're on, I was going to call it Mickey's Fun Wheel, but the Pixar Palaron. I'm sorry. To me, it's still Mickey's Fun Wheel. I can't get past that name. But that if you're on the Palaron and you just happen to see Spider-Man flying in the air as you're like hitting the top of the wheel, or if you're walking onto Carthay Circle and you happen to just see like an image flying through the air and you're just like, oh, that's Spider-Man. It's going on. And it makes guests want to check out the Avengers Campus. Because I think like you have an initial calling card, so to speak, and it's like it's going to draw people there to say, what was that? Like, what's going on? Let's go check it out, and I definitely think it'll give an extra touch to the Avengers Campus.
I do too. And in my video, I touched upon something where I thought I'm curious about it. I'm really curious about how they're going to do this every day. I'm assuming multiple times during the day, and have it be safe. Like, how is this thing going to do all these somersaults and flips and flying through the air, and what if it breaks down? like what if it doesn't land right? That's the thing that I'm most curious about. Like, how are they going to basically give this thing like a safety net, so if it does break or something happens, it doesn't like land on people? Like, I'm very curious as to how they're going to approach this thing. I mean, even if it just stays on the building, right?
Right.
It still has to have some sort of safety mechanism where it doesn't just collapse and like shatter on top of the rooftop or do damage to the building. There has to be something holding this thing up without falling. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't.
I mean, as far as I know, they're probably going to have the whole thing set up backstage, but where it has the illusion as if it's like right in front of you. And it's probably going to be obviously by the Spider-Man attraction. But I have several questions. It makes me wonder, do they just have one copy of this animatronic, or do they have multiple ones that will be setting off, or is it just going to be one? Is it going to be where it's going to do one trick up in the air and then you have to wait for him to get relaunched to do another one? Or
right.
It's something. It's like they showed you it obviously in the Imagineering story, but yet I still think there's more to it that they're not sharing with us until it actually opens.
I agree. There's got to be something more to it, because if I was an Imagineer and I'm looking at the Marvel universe, right? What Marvel character would I use in an animatronic like this? I'm thinking Iron Man, because he's more mechanical. It makes more sense to have that kind of character in animatronic form where he can kind of fly up, and you know what I'm saying? Spider-Man seems more like a character that you can kind of utilize a live stunt performer. Why use the animatronic? You know what I'm saying? So I think that like it's interesting they chose Spider-Man. So I think what you said is right. I think there's got to be something else that we do not know about. That there's got to be.
And of course, with Iron Man, there's a better liability there, because Iron Man could do like a meet and greet, a walk-around or something. Here you have this animatronic flying through the air where it has no control the second you launch it. It's like, okay, where is the bullseye going to be?
Exactly.
But it definitely should be interesting to see where this goes. Now, also kind of staying, we touched upon this several videos back, and I think also on the podcast I'm part of, Grand Circle Tour podcast, that with your version that will be coming not for a while now with the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, it's going to be opening March 6th, I believe, at Walt Disney World. Now, yours at Disneyland's not going to open until, was it 21 or 22?
I think it's 22, I believe.
Okay. Now, you also had some interesting opinions on the outer construction of how it's mapped out in Toontown. do you feel that um, with by the time that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway opens, that if Toontown ever even has a possibility of a revamp, do you think that the Toontown is going to look more like how the outer structure is for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway? Could that necessarily be a clue to say, here's the new look of what Toontown is going to become?
Well, that was actually one of the things that I was kind of a little bit at D23 when we were there, and they announced when they gave us the artwork to the exterior of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway for Toontown. I was kind of disappointed, actually, and I was disappointed because they didn't really change the style of it. Like it kind of, all they kind of did was make it the 90s Toontown look. You know, it kind of looks like the current Toontown. I was actually kind of hoping for something different. I was actually kind of hoping for like the new Mickey shorts, like that style of animation for the facade of the attraction. And I think it'd be kind of cool in a Toontown to have multiple styles of animation. It just kind of makes sense. You know, you could have done a lot with it, you know. And I was kind of a little bit let down when they showed this artwork, and it looks just like a movie theater that, you know, that would be in the 90s version of Toontown. It doesn't really look that much different. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to blend in with the current land for sure.
Okay. Now, so do you feel that that will mean that there's going to be time taken before Toontown, even if it even gets a revamp? Because I was having a conversation with Ethan, to all you out there, aka Theme Park Wizard, that I had said to him that being that with the opening of Galaxy's Edge, that Disney had a high expectation of what Galaxy's Edge was going to open with. And whatever the reason may be of how they had more of a softer opening than this real big rampage of guests coming to the park, does that make Disney a little bit apprehensive of moving forward with future development of Disneyland? Or do you think it's more of they're just kind of waiting for Galaxy's Edge to kind of work out its kinks and then move forward with another project?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like, well, in terms of like Toontown and renovating Toontown I think that's going to happen. I do think they're going to renovate Toontown. I think they're going to utilize the budget, at least some of the budget for Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway to revitalize at least that portion of Toontown where the entrance is going to be. Like, I think we're going to get all new paint. We might even get some various, you know, like cool little upgraded effects for like the Dynamite Factory and things like that. I think they're going to do all those kind of things. I just don't think it's going to be anything major. I don't think we're going to see any major, you know, aesthetic changes to that area, you know, or Toontown in general. And I do think that in terms of in terms of Disneyland itself, in terms of like expansion and things like that, and, you know, are they hesitant? I don't think so. I mean, they kind of know that this park is a gold mine, and it seems like Galaxy's Edge has finally found its footing, and it's doing really well now with the Rise of the Resistance open. So yeah, I don't think they're really hesitant. I just think that they're kind of pacing it out a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm very curious to know like what the next big, because everyone knew for 4 years what the big project was, and it was Galaxy's Edge, you know, at Disneyland. Now everyone is wondering, okay, they have to keep growing, they have to keep expanding, they have to keep evolving. Well, there's only so much that you can do with the Disneyland resort. So it's like, what is the next big project? Is it going to be Tomorrowland? Is it going to be Fantasyland? Is it going to be Toontown? Is it going to be Hollywoodland? I mean, there's, you know, they have only so many routes that they could take, and I guess everyone is just wondering which way is Disney going to go.
Yeah, and that's one thing too that I'm curious about is what's the next thing, because there was actually an article released, I think it was the OC Register yesterday, and I think he was the vice president of California Adventure, if I'm not mistaken, kind of alluded to that at least for California Adventure, the next big thing after Marvel is going to be Hollywoodland. Now, he obviously didn't get into any like specifics or anything like that, but the article um, in that article, the vice president definitely strongly suggested that Hollywoodland is where they're looking at to next for DCA. Disneyland, yeah, I think Disneyland has a lot of expansion possibilities. You have all of Tomorrowland except for Space Mountain that is really expendable. You know, there's not anything in Tomorrowland outside of Space Mountain that you really can't bulldoze and do better or make something else. You know, I think that's going to be definitely an area Disney's going to be looking at after Mickey and Minnie. I also think that Disney really wants to do a Fantasyland expansion, because the Fantasyland IPs that you would use, whether it be Beauty and the Beast, which is $1 billion, you know, the live action movie made over $1 billion. It's a huge franchise. Or Frozen, which is, again, another huge franchise. The princesses in general, a massive industry, a massive franchise. Disney wants to capitalize on some of those newer characters. So I think we're going to get at Disneyland some sort of Fantasyland expansion. They want to capitalize on all those new IP they have. And there's room. I mean, you can do the old motorboat cruise area. You can do the Fantasyland Theater, which is a good size of a property. So there's room in there, but no announcement yet. I'm really curious. Like you said, what are they going to do next? I'm really curious.
I thought for sure I could have staked my life on it that at the last expo that we were just going to get maybe not exactly what was, but just the announcement itself. There's New Horizons coming for Tomorrowland or Fantasyland. I thought Disneyland for sure was going to get something, because the expo prior to that, Disneyland got zip, not a goose eggs.
Yeah, we got Pixar Pier.
Yes,
we got Pixar Pier.
You got Pixar Pier, and I thought this is Disneyland's year for at the expo that they're going to announce something. And what Disneyland got was Magic Happens, which, mind you, I'm going to get to that next, but nothing against it, but it was just Magic Happens. And the big shocker of the whole entire presentation, Target, you know, it's like
unbelievable.
But maybe the next expo, I'm kind of hoping it's either going to be leaning more towards Tomorrowland or Fantasyland, because I had just started a new Disney group page on Facebook, our Dysfunctional Ohana. I started, and I posted 2 photos back to back of the Beast Castle, the one for the Be Our Guest restaurant at Walt Disney World, and the one that's going to be for the new attraction, and that is like night and day.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if they could actually put Beast Castle, that is going to be in the International Park, in Disneyland, and just like wipe out the Fantasyland Theater and that area and the motorboats and what have you, and just put a Beauty and the Beast land with a full sizable castle. Oh man, that
would be incredible. That's what I'm hoping they do. I really hope they do something like that, because that vinyl tent they use for, and look, I have nothing against Mickey and the Magical Map. I think it's a really cute stage show, and I even support live entertainment at these parks. You know, it's just that particular theater is so ugly. It's so hideous. It goes against everything that Fantasyland is, right? Fantasyland is like warm, and it's very like, you know, wooden and cozy, right? And then you go to this theater and it's vinyl and metal. It's a complete and total opposite of everything in Fantasyland. It just looks terrible. It really does.
It would look better at Storybook Circus down at Walt Disney World, because at least it would blend.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But, yeah, I mean, that whole section, I say literally from the left side where Fantasyland Theater is, all the way to the right side where the motorboats used to be, and all that, just completely Disney go at it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's going to be the future of, like, you know, we talked about future expansion for Disneyland. That's going to be the future. It's going to be Tomorrowland. It's going to be the motorboat cruise area. Might be the Fantasyland Theater. that's the future. That's where they're going to go, I think, because they're running out now. They're running out of backstage space. They've used a lot of it for Galaxy's Edge. They're using another big chunk of it for Mickey and Minnie. We're kind of getting a little short on even backstage space now,
Yeah, they're going to have to utilize what's already there in the park. And there are sections of the park that, don't get me wrong, I love Disneyland Park as a whole, but there are just certain sections that it needs upgraded. It is what it is. I mean, it's time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
I always use that quote from Rafiki from The Lion King. It is time.
Yes.
But being that I had mentioned about Magic Happens, when they first announced it at the expo, they just showed Mickey in like a tri-colored outfit of how he is in his Sorcerer's Apprentice, and it just said Magic Happens and music by Todrick Hall, which I love Todrick Hall's work. I love it.
Oh, me too. His stuff on like YouTube and everything, like his Disney parodies and his musicals that he does, so good. I love what he does. If you guys haven't seen Todrick Hall, check him out. He does amazing stuff.
Definitely. I mean, and it's so different and unique. Something that you would never think to mesh with Disney, he has accomplished. And the music's great, and nothing against Todd Fisher, because I love his music too. I love what he did with Happily Ever After, and I love how the new style is with the song. But I would have loved to have seen Todrick actually sing the songs that he produced for this parade, me personally. But that's just me. As I said, nothing against Jordan Fisher, but I would love to have seen Todd actually perform something for the parade. But who knows? Maybe he does have something and Disney didn't release it yet. But I think I had this conversation I don't know if I had it with you yet, but I had it with several people of the concept art for the parade that they had just released recently of the floats and everything. And the one float that stood out to me right off the bat, and I was shocked to high heaven, was the Sword in the Stone.
Yes.
And I thought, finally, Disney, thank you.
Well, yeah, it was really odd to me. I was kind of like, I did a video on that too, the Magic Happens parade, and that was the one standout for me. I was like, because these parades, when Disney chooses these properties, it's very calculated as to which ones they utilize and which ones they don't, right?
And it's very repetitive with the parade.
It's very repetitive. It's always Little Mermaid. It's always Tangled. There's always the same old ones over and over and over again. And when I saw Sword in the Stone, I'm like, when is the last time you saw that franchise represented in the parks in any meaningful way? I mean, besides the Sword in the Stone in front of the carousel, I can't remember the last time they had a float or anything.
This was done at Walt Disney World, and it was the last time I even saw Merlin make an appearance just walking around the park was in 2000. That was the very last time I saw Merlin.
Wow. Yeah, it's been a long time. And I know that I haven't seen, I think Merlin, it might be in some of the like Phantasmic finale stuff, like he might be like one of the guys like waving on the boat, the Mark Twain at the very end. But outside of that, I don't remember anything.
But the fact that they're actually incorporating Arthur Wart, the kid in the movie, I thought, I don't ever recall them having a walk-around character of him.
Yeah, neither do I. I don't ever remember them utilizing him.
And the floats are just very breathtaking. And based on how the concept art looks, it looks like they're going to have certain special and visual effects that will signify the storyline of each movie.
Yeah, no, the floats look gorgeous, and I think that they're going to look even better in real life. It's one of those things where I think the concept art probably isn't going to do its justice. I think that once we see it in person, I think it's even going to look even better. And I'm very curious about it. I'm I'm excited about this parade. This is the first parade Disneyland has done in a long time that I'm excited for.
I have to actually agree. And don't get me wrong, I do love Sensational. It was good. But yeah, even just with the concept art, Like when they showed it for Sensational, I'm like, okay, it looks good. You know, a typical Disney parade, but this one just really stands out.
It
And
does. It
and
does.
I can't wait to see. And it opens February 28th. Or is it?
Yeah, yeah. It's the end of this month. It opens in a few weeks, so it should be fun. And Todd Recall, like you said, is doing the music, and he's amazing. He's really talented. I think
Yeah.
he's gonna knock it out of the park. He always does.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely cannot wait to see. So we definitely have a lot of stuff coming up that we have to look forward to. And do you have any other thoughts of anything that I might have missed?
Well, I do want to say one thing about the Sword in the Stone float. After I did my video, because I was still kind of shocked that they even utilize this franchise. After I did my video, I Googled Sword in the Stone, and I don't know if it's still in active development or not, but I found a few articles about them trying to find a director for a live action Sword in the Stone.
Hmm.
And then the gears in my head started to turn like, okay, that's why. That's why. But I don't know if it's still in development or not. See, that's the thing, because these articles were like from 2017, 2018.
I wonder if they're kind of holding it in limbo to actually see the guest response for a parade float. Because
Maybe,
if it
yeah.
goes well for a parade float and everyone kind of takes to like, they go nuts for this float, it's like, okay, maybe this film has more relevance than what Disney thought. So let's dust off the script. Let's go forward with it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe the Disney Plus internal numbers are showing that a lot of people are watching Sword in the Stone.
That is
Maybe that too. I don't know. It's crazy. But
they
I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah. Now they just released their quarter earnings and they said, what was it, 28 million
Yeah.
subscribers for Disney Plus?
Unbelievable. Which is 50. I think they said that's 50% of what Netflix currently has.
Wow.
So Disney Plus accomplished that since what, no, December. Well, it premiered in November, so December, January. In 3 months, it accomplished half of what Netflix has accomplished over many, many years.
Really.
I mean,
And,
it's wild.
and to think the Mandalorian season 2 still has to come out. We're still waiting for the peak of the Marvel shows to come out.
That's going to be a huge boost again to Disney Plus. And I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'm telling you, I'm a huge advocate for High School Musical, the series. I watched it and I absolutely loved it. And I wasn't even a fan of the original movies. It wasn't my generation. I didn't care about the movies. The show is very, very good. The kids are all friends in real life. When you watch them interviewed, like on Good Morning America and all these different things, you can tell they're all really close in real life. And those relationships really translate on film. And you can see it. It seems so genuine. It's great. It's become one of my favorite shows on Disney Plus, next to The Mandalorian. I can't wait for that too. Season 2 for that has me so hyped. And the musical, it was just announced 2 or 3 days ago. The musical they're going to do for season 2 is Beauty and the Beast. So I think that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I unfortunately have not seen the High School Musical, the series yet, but I definitely have it on my list to watch. And as far as with the Mandalorian season 2, if the hype for season 1 was so high, I could imagine what season 2 is going to bring.
It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane.
And then they're even in talks about adding the Mandalorian intertwined within Galaxy's Edge, if I heard that correctly.
Yeah, they're trying to do spin-offs and things like that with Mandalorian. They know what they have. They know they have a huge hit with that show. They're going to try to they're going to try to milk it for all it's worth.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, definitely.
They will. They're going to try to tie it into a lot of stuff. And just on a side note, the Baby Yoda Funko Pop is the best-selling pop of all time. And it's not even out yet. It's just off of the pre-orders.
I could imagine. I bet you Disney's probably thinking, you know, maybe we should have waited to build Galaxy's Edge until the Mandalorian opened. Then they could have done the whole land just based off of the Mandalorian.
I know. They would have made $1 bajillion just off of the Baby Yoda stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been really great. As I said, I just love just sitting back and talking Disney, no matter what the discussion is. I just love talking everything Disney.
Well, me too. Thanks, George. I appreciate you having me on. And it's always fun talking with you. And, you know, hope to be on again soon. And you got to come on my channel again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. Yep. Whenever you want me, I'll be here.
Sounds good. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. And listeners and watchers, that definitely check out Orange Grove 55's channel. He has amazing videos. Even if it's old videos, just go back. He has a lot of in-depth information of everything. But I'll definitely, again, put a link down in his YouTube for his YouTube channel. And again, thanks again for joining me. And remember, everyone, it's never a good day unless it's a Disney day. Bye, everyone.